Hey, welcome to the Strong Roots podcast. My name is Kristin Hill, and we are so excited that you're tuning in today. Our prayer is that you would move one step closer to Jesus through this series. So go ahead and check out this next episode. Hey, Strong Roots. I'm here with Tori Fieldhouse, and she literally is one of those people that if I'm around, I'm just constantly laughing. So I can't wait.
Oh boy.
I can't wait for you to get to know her today. We are talking about, we're in the middle of this motherhood season, and we're talking about expectations versus reality, which I can't imagine anyone better talking about this. But tell us a little bit about yourself and what your journey into motherhood has been like.
Thanks, Kristin. I definitely have set a lot of expectations coming into motherhood. I feel like for me, I just wanted to be a mom since I've been a little girl. And yes. I know we've kind of talked about that like, that's just been a dream of mine for a long time. And I think I kind of revolved around a lot of my work life and my personal life around that.
Because what did you do for a living?
I was a children's director here for a while, but before that, I was nannying. I've been a teacher at a daycare preschool.
Yeah.
Babysitting a lot of my life. Everything's kind of centered around getting me ready for when I had my own family and my own kids.
So you just talked about how, you were a children's director, you had all these expectations of when you were a mom. How have those expectations changed now that you are actually a mom?
Well, I think just going back on that topic that I just had the expectation this was going to be really natural and easy for me because, like you said, I was the children's director, a teacher. I had been around kids so much that this was just all gonna, I just know all the answers, right?
Yeah.
I'd have this, that this was kind of like the last missing puzzle piece to my life, and that this was going to finally be like my season of life that I was going to thrive in and build my family. And I think I started setting a lot of expectation in kind of putting Henry, my child, on this pedestal of when I have a kid, these things that I'm struggling with underneath will kind of start to solve themselves because everything will be in place.
Ooh, that's good.
Laziness and tiredness, I'll be less tired, and my eating habits, they'll have to be healthier because I have to set a good example for my kid now, and anxiety that I struggled with, everything would just kind of root around, solving all this for him.
Right.
And I just think Jesus has changed that so much for me because first of all, none of it changed, right? I had a kid, and I was like, I'll be less lazy. No.
It almost magnified.
It does. Yes. It's you experience this this tiredness, this exhaustion that, before becoming a mother, I had never been to that level before of this, infant that just screams all night long, and he cries all day, and he doesn't nap well, whatever the excuse was, right? It just became this tiredness that I had to overcome to move forward. And I think rooting all of that a child would solve all that, God has been showing me so strong that he's the only one that can fill that void. And so when I thought I'd be less tired, it turns out I'm more tired. When I thought I'd have more time because I wouldn't be working anymore. I'd be home. And it turns out, boy, if anything, there's less time.
Right?
First of all.
And how does that happen?
I know. It's I'm home. I have more hours in the day to do things. And this I don't know if you guys can relate, but this perfect mom, I'd be home. I'd have the Betty Crocker home-cooked meals. And Jay would walk in the door to fresh bread. I don't know, whatever, right?
Yes.
These crazy expectations that I'd be this perfect mom and have this perfect kid and this perfect family, and I've realized that I'm more tired, I have less time, but the beauty of it is it's shown me so much to be intentional with my time.
Right.
That there might be less time because a lot of my focus is going into things I have to do, diaper changes and bath time and all these things that have to fit into this day to raise a child. That I don't know, there's also this kind of two routes I can take it. I find myself, in this this me monster phase of I need. I need more TV time. I need more rest. I am so tired. And you start cycling in that. And it's funny because I like to think of that like me time is kind of like sugar, right? Like it tastes good and but it doesn't really refresh me.
Right.
And it doesn't give me like this long-term fulfillment. But yet like it leaves me craving more. Like I just needed more time for myself. And it's awesome how like Jesus has shown me through this whole thing that, you know, I can't fill that void myself, and that me time isn't going to ever fill that void. And these expectations I've put on Henry of what he would kind of solve for me, he's not going to do that, but only Jesus can. And like only he can fill that void for me. And it's been a really cool learning process to see like the more I lean into him and the more I intentionally choose to take those nap times and make them like quiet time with Jesus, time to just like refresh and refocus, not eat the comfort food that my body thinks it needs, but like the comfort in like Jesus or time, you know, just like this, like talking about like Jesus in community. Has been so much more refreshing.
Absolutely. And I relate to that. I remember talking about expectations and thinking about that. I remember one time specifically I had lost my mind at Isabel, and I don't know what she did, but pretty much I made this big scene in front of a big group of people. It's like, that's not my child. You know, like you're saying, like putting her on this pedestal. And I remember putting her to sleep and just one of those moments with God, like, why were you disciplining her? Was it actually for her character, or was it because you wanted to look good in front of those people?
Right.
And it was a really defining moment in my parenting where I was like, I don't want to discipline because I want to project this person that I think I should be.
Right.
But I only want to discipline to help their character be more like Christ.
Right.
But I think that putting our kids up here as though they're a reflection of ourselves, when really they're completely, like, I don't know where they came from. Do you feel that way? Like, I like to blame John, but
right?
bad things.
Not me.
Yes, but it's like they're uniquely and beautifully and wonderfully made.
Yes.
And like we train them up in the way they should go, but I mean,
Yes.
God, we can do our best, but God has to do the rest.
I feel that so much. I feel like one of Henry's biggest struggles was almost like one of my biggest expectations for him. Like I keep saying, like that it would just be, he'd be this like easygoing, flexible child, right? Like I would discipline so correctly and so positively that he couldn't help but just be the happiest, easygoing baby.
Yes.
Well, Jesus had other plans, and while Henry has such great, awesome strengths and like, I mean, just beautiful, beautiful things. There's also really tough things. And I feel like Jesus knew where to challenge me because flexibility would probably not be one of my top things I describe him as. Like he cries, like babysitters, family members, if I leave him, dropping him off places is so hard, and he doesn't nap, and just all these things. And I feel like it's one of those things that I had to lean into of, I can't change him, and I don't want to change him, and I want him to be like who God has made him to be, and that you know, I have to let go of that expectation that I don't have to be perfect, he doesn't have to be perfect, but like he is who God created him to be, and that like I just need to embrace that, right? And I need to love him for that and not be ashamed of it,
right?
Because I think it's easy to put that on yourself as a mother, that like he's this way because of me.
Right.
And I remember crying to my in-laws. I dropped him off. I was supposed to go to a baby shower for a friend, and he was not napping, and I was going to be late for the shower, and bless them. I mean, they're such amazing people. They took over for me. They went up to rock him down. They stood with me and talked a minute because I had worked myself up. I was crying about it. That, like, was this something I did? Like, did I do this to him? Did I not leave him enough? Did I stay around too much? Did I coddle him too much? Did I rock him too much? Like, what's going on here? Like, what did I do wrong? And it's funny because, like, they were telling me too, like, nothing, right? Like, he is who God made him to be. And, like, at this age, sure, there's things I'm doing that are helping shape him, but, like, he's going to be who he raw and naturally is. At this age, he doesn't have like these factors yet that are what he wants to be, like where his mind can take him. So I feel like this is raw and exactly who he is, and that's okay. That's okay that he cries.
And so what if we did screw him up a little bit? Like, it's not a surprise. I mean, I guess not you, but I mean, it's like it's not a surprise to God. Like, he knew where I would be with every kid. Because with every single kid, I have been a little bit farther along in my faith. Yes. And like, it's like, if something in me shaped each kid at the different stages, like, that was his perfect plan. And he didn't get you pregnant until the perfect time he wanted you to develop and mold and lead Henry. Yes. And it's like, so there is, like, 90% of them is going to be what they're going to be. The 10% of them, like, so we screw up. God's like, perfect. Like, I'll use
just
that.
What I wanted him.
Yes. Like, I'll use it. Because, I mean, adversity is what creates good things in us, right? It's the trials, it's the tribulations, it's like that refine us.
Right.
So I feel like sometimes it's like, well, better luck next time, right? For me, there's
always a round two, hopefully.
Right? Well, even though, like, even far along, I'm like, oh man, I think I was so much more on, you can see either way, I was so much more on point with the first than with the last, or like, I'm so much more relaxed with the last than you can flip it any way you want to. Right. And God's just like, okay, God, whatever you want to do. But like, I love that you said that, because I think so often we think we're in control.
Yeah.
Doesn't it feel like we can be?
It feels like, you want to be, and you want to control the situation and what's happening and how he's going to act. But, like, I think when I'm learning right now to, like, let go of that control and, like, give it to Jesus is, like, the moment that it's, like, that deep breath.
Yes.
Right?
What do you think is, like, if you were listening to this before you became a mom, what do you wish someone would have told you about reality versus expectation?
Ooh, good question. I guess I just wish that somebody would have... Sorry.
No, this is the best. Like, yeah.
I think that it's okay to not have, like, every area of life perfect. That, like...
Yes, that's so good.
It's okay to... when your expectations are failing, because let's be real, like, what mother doesn't set a lot when you're pregnant? Like, it's almost kind of natural to just, like, start setting a lot of expectations of, like, how you think things will go. And even when you, like, imagine this, like, you set up your nursery, there's no baby yet, and you're looking at your nursery thinking, like, like, where he's going to sleep and where you're going to read your books and where you're going to do these things. And, like, you're already, like, creating this, like, false, beautiful picture of what you think it's going to be. And, it's like, while there are so many beautiful things, obviously, about motherhood, that's why we do it so many times. It's like, I think just hearing that, like, if you won't measure up to those things. And that it's okay.
Right. I never imagined, like, the waft of a poopy diaper as I walk into this beautiful room. Like, that doesn't even cross your mind.
But, like, somehow, like, when you're pregnant and you're thinking through it all, it's like, it's all so beautiful because it's not here yet. Yes. And you're like, these things that won't bother me and whatever. And then it's here and you're tired and you're emotional and hormones and whatever might be going on. It's like, I don't know. I think it's to know that, like, you told me, okay, I think one of my biggest things is I want to be a mother so bad. When I had my baby, what if I didn't connect with him right away?
Yes.
Like, what if it wasn't? I had this expectation of what it was going to be when I met him. And what if it just wasn't everything I just dreamed it would be? Mm-hmm. I remember when you told me that, like, and if it's not, that's okay. Yes. Like, when you hold your baby, it'll be a unique experience to you. And you don't know what it's going to be. But either way, no matter how it goes, it's okay.
Yes.
And, like, I think that just kind of ties in, like, just knowing that, like, when something doesn't reach that high expectation that you have, it's okay.
Yes.
It's
okay. Yes, I love that so much. What has been something that you have learned the most about yourself on this journey? Like, that you maybe didn't know about you before? Because do you feel like raising kids, I feel like it's getting married exposed a whole new level of sin, and then having kids exposed a whole nother level. I was like, wow, I didn't know that was in there.
Yes.
Here it is.
Here I am.
Yes.
You know, I would say patience. I always describe myself as a very patient person.
Yeah.
I think with like other people's kids, I'm incredibly patient.
Yes.
And with other people's situations and troubles and hard times, I'm incredibly patient. And then I enter in my own life, and patience is not natural or easy for me in my home life. And like with Henry, like becoming patient in the time of like, you know, whether it's reading a book. Like I want to read to him. Like I want him to love books. I want him to be smart. All of these things. But it's not fun reading a book to a kid that throws it on the floor every 30 seconds. Or like when you want him to lift the flap and he's tearing the flap. You know, it's just like, just stop, right? Like, no more. But that takes this like inner patience that's a lot deeper than like somebody else's kid.
Right.
And this like 24/7 patience. And I would even say like becoming a mother in this new role, like with Jay. Like not only am I a wife, but like I'm also a mother and a partner. And like patience there too. Like I always thought like this dream of we'd do bath times together. We'd be like, he'd come home and we'd do bath and dinner and like I'd have all this help. But like he works. Like he can't be there for it all. And he shouldn't be there for it all because he has other responsibilities too. And like patience in that like, that, you know, this is where God has called me. And like, and all those times I cried about to Jay, like not being made for this. And that you just were speaking on this too. Like, you know, that maybe I wasn't cut out for this. This is a lot tougher than I ever expected. And I think all those times, I don't know, crying to him just showed me too that like, I am made for this, but it takes this inner patience that like, God is bringing out of me. And it's hard right now, but I know when I'm on that other side and I have that deeper patience, and I'm not saying it's coming with this kid, and it might be the 7th kid if God willing we have that many. I don't know. But whenever, hopefully, Jesus gives me that kind of patience, like life, I don't know. I think that's something that I'm striving
You're
for.
expectantly waiting.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Because you know that you're creating that spiritual discipline.
Yes.
Something that I feel like I've learned from you, even talking about like, we go on walks and we talk and like being a nanny and being somebody who like, you know how we compartmentalize, like I was really good here, but now as a mom it's really hard. But something I've learned from you and that I've tried to apply to my own life is like it sounds maybe silly, but like act like my kids aren't my own. Like there was one conversation that we had that I was like, I'm gonna like, because if it was my nieces, if it was Henry, if it was someone else's kids, I'm like, let me get on your level and let's color and but with my own, I'm like, stop talking to me. I'm making dinner. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I just like, that's something I've learned from you is to like, all right, like, cause they're not our kids.
Right.
They're God's kids.
Right.
And I think it was a pivotal conversation with you that I really was like, they aren't mine. So treat them as though they aren't mine. Because when I treat them as though they're mine, I don't treat them well.
Right.
But like, I really respect you for that because I think that you do that really well.
That is something I work at. I wouldn't say it's easy, but you're so right. Like, I could watch your kids for the entire day, and they could be absolutely crazy, the craziest they've been, and it wouldn't bother me. Like, it'd be like, I want to get down, I want to play with you, I want to spend this time with you. Right, yeah.
She has, because she's that awesome.
So fun, but like, let's peek into my own life. Like, I've never broke out of that box with Henry, and yet he is younger, but like, at the same time, you're right. Like, when I'm with my kid and I'm home, I get so caught up in this, like, home. Like, I can't right now because I have to cook. I can't right now because I have to do this. You know, there's always something else. Or, like, I just want to scroll through my phone and, like, I don't even know what I'm reading. I just want to be me. And it's funny because it's in those moments that I realize, like, I'm not giving him that time and attention because you take things that are yours for granted, right?
You do.
Like, he's mine. He's here all the time. Like, it's just kind of brush it off and move along. And yeah, it's just one of those things that it's like, you're right. He isn't mine. He's God's. And therefore treating him that way is not.
It's not natural.
Right.
But it should be. It's like everything's gotten flipped on its head here. right?
Yes.
But you have to fight for it.
I do.
And I see you fighting for it. And it's inspiring to me, you know?
Thank you.
Yes. So, last question that I'm really curious. How would you, like, give us some ideas on how you would want someone to treat a first-time mom? Like, what would be your opinion on that? Like, what could we do to really, because I feel like, we're all unique, but there are so many things we do wrong with first-time moms. Or even, like, right? Like, what could we do to be encouraging to those around us?
I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank.
Well, I know what you do really well. I'll tell you what Tori does really well. Like, I can't help but when I'm around you feel like I'm super mom. It's just the truth. But I feel like something that you do, and maybe people don't do it to you enough, is like you meet me where I'm at. Mm-hmm. You never make me feel judged. Mm-hmm. You encourage me. You laugh with me. You relate to me. But you always point me to Jesus. Like, you don't leave me there. You could just encourage, laugh with me, love me, and then do nothing else. But I love that you take it the next step and you're like, point me to Jesus, though. And you're always humble and like, I'm not there, but let's pray together and get there together.
Yes.
You know, and I think in our relationship, that's what's been like, you're one of my most encouraging friends because, like, you're just real. You don't pretend to be above me. You don't pretend like you have all the answers. You're always coming with questions. You're always answering my questions. Like, I think, I don't know, something that you've done that has been encouraging to me is just to be a really good friend.
Thank you.
You know?
I think you hit it right on the head of just like that being real and being vulnerable. Yes. I think it's really easy to give off this persona that like you have it all together. And I think even sometimes I want to do it too when I meet with people and like we're walking and it would be so easy to talk about all the great things that have happened, right? And like, not that I want to focus on the bad at all, but at the same time, when somebody is real and vulnerable and open with me, boy, it just creates this peace that's like, she gets it. Like, she's been there too. And I think, you know, one of the biggest things to overcome for me is that like, I'm in, probably for a lot of us, like I'm in this alone. Like nobody else is going through this. Like everybody else, like the classic. You look on Facebook and it's like everybody's so happy and everybody's nurseries are so beautiful. Everybody has it all so together and the projects they do. And I'm not doing those and I should be doing those. But I just love, like I love that you do it too. Like you're so real. So like you saying that to me, that means a lot because when we go walking together and like I love hearing those stories about like the crazy times, the Eldon, the whatever, right? The funny stories because I'm like, oh, like I get it. I feel you on that. And you know, I don't want to focus on, like I said before, how hard it is, but sometimes it feels good to know like it's hard for you too.
Yes.
Like, okay, good. Like, you're not reading every book out there. Like, you haven't finished your whole library that you got from your baby shower. Because I haven't either. You know, it's like
3 pages in and...
Yeah. Yes. And it is. It's like those friendships that are so just real and open and honest and... You can talk about anything.
Yes.
And I don't know, those to me are the ones that like are so genuine and just remind me like, and like you said, like it's okay to be there, but you don't want to be there forever. Like, and I think that's the second part of it, exactly what you said of, you know, like let's relate on this level because let's all be real. Like,
yes,
it's interesting.
Yes,
it's a journey, and then like, but let's take it to the next level. Like, what does Jesus say about this? And like, I see you're struggling, and I'm there too. Like, how can we overcome that? Like, how can we make it to that? You know, overcome this. And I think having a friendship that encourages you constantly. Like, I see you. And I've been there or I am there, and let's like I don't know,
level up together.
Level up together, and that's it. It's like next thing you know, you're like looking back and you're like, gosh, remember last year when I was struggling with that? Like, look how far I've come, and I'm not where I want to be.
Yep.
But I'm a lot farther than I was.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm going to end it with that. It's so good. Thank you, Tori.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yes, and I just want to challenge everyone who is listening to be vulnerable. To not only be vulnerable and real with one another, but then challenge each other to level up. Challenge each other and point each other to Jesus. And find someone you can do that with. I think nothing is more valuable than a good friend that will point you to Jesus. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we cannot wait to catch you next time. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to follow us on our other social media platforms. We don't want you to miss out on any future content. Thank you so much again, guys. I hope you have a great day. And I want you to know I am personally praying that your roots stay strong.